The first is the Army of God, a network of violent Christians that has been active since the early 1980s. The Army of God openly promotes killing abortion providers, has included multiple convicted terrorists and murders amongst its ranks, and advocates for the killing of homosexuals. Now, this is especially relevant in the American context because we have people like Eric Rudolph, John Salvi, we have a number of people that have made news, the killer of George Tiller, who were members of that organization.
Ah yes, the Army of God. The Army of God. Frightening, isn't it, folks? Listen to the name of that, an army. People, it's an army. So let's look at where they found the image that they used for the thumbnail for this video. The thumbnail where you have Jesus with a lamb. It's trying to be sarcastic, like, oh, Jesus, real peaceful, right? He's got these 3 terrorist groups behind him. Right. Because there really is no difference between following the peaceful, nonviolent doctrines of a hippie virgin carpenter and following the pronouncements and teachings of a beheading, murderous, warlord, pedophile rapist. Yeah, it's about the same. At the end of the day, it works out to be roughly the same kind of thing. So here's the Wikipedia page where their Google Ninja found that image. Army of God. Let's take a look. It's not a big page, folks. It ain't big. It's 1 paragraph, and here it is. The actions of this group consist of the earliest documented incidents of the Army of God being involved with anti-abortion activity occurred in 1982, when most of you were not born. 1982. Nice relevance. 3 men associated with the organization kidnapped Hector Zavalos, an abortion doctor, and his wife, Rosalie Jean, and held them hostage. Oh boy, here we go. Here comes the beheading. The hostages were later released unharmed. The East Coast Division of the Army of God claimed responsibility when 3 men, including Michael Bray, planted bombs at 7 abortion clinics in Maryland, Virginia, and Washington, D.C. in 1985. Again, hyper-relevant to the moment, 30 years ago. And notice that there isn't a list of casualties in this makeshift homemade bombing campaign they went on, because nobody died. Nobody died. Now, am I, as a lifelong atheist, in favor of bombing abortion clinics? Hell no. Of course I'm not. The point is, 2 wrongs don't make a right. And you pointing out the minor wrong of not killing somebody does not equate to the killing of hundreds of thousands of people by Islamic terrorists. Continue. The AOG claimed responsibility for Eric Robert Rudolph's 1997 nail bombing of abortion clinics in Atlanta and Birmingham, as well as an Atlanta lesbian bar. In that attack, 1 person was killed. I'm not in favor of that person being killed. I think we should take action in 1997 about that. Clayton Wagner, claiming to act on the part of the Virginia Dare chapter of the AOG, mailed over 500 letters containing white powder to 280 abortion providers in 2001. The letters claimed that the powder was anthrax, though it was not identified as such. The tactic took advantage of the public's fear of biological warfare after the recent real anthrax attacks. So some guy pours baking soda on letters, sends it to abortion clinics. This is pathetic. The group is also associated with a number of murders of abortion providers. What? Citation needed? Some of these murders claimed association with the AOG. So, association with. In other cases, while the killer expressed no affiliation with the group, the AOG has lionized their acts and taken up their cause. Well, isn't that special? That's it, folks. That's it. Keep in mind, the grand total of anti-abortion doctor killings is 8. That's it. And this group apparently had an affiliation with one of the guys that did one of those killings once in the 1980s. Ironically, you know who else started in 1985? There was another little group. Oddly enough, that other group was called the Army of God. Only you don't know them as the Army of God because they use the Arabic for it, which is Hezbollah. Perhaps you're familiar with Hezbollah. They're a massive terrorist organization that have been wreaking havoc in the Middle East for decades. Suicide bombings, assassinations, flat-out wars. They're known as the Party of Allah. Perhaps, John, if we wanted to be honest here and maybe use a little common sense, let's maybe put into perspective what 2 killings and some baking soda on letters and have a little perspective as to what the Army of God in America is and what the Army of God in Lebanon is. This group is an Islamist militant group and political party based in Lebanon. Hezbollah's parliamentary wing is the Jihad Council. That doesn't sound good. Go through the Wikipedia of Hezbollah if you so desire. It's long and involved. I'll give you little highlights though. From the inception of Hezbollah to the present, the elimination of the State of Israel has been one of Hezbollah's primary goals. Some translations of Hezbollah's 1985 Arabic language manifesto state that, quote, "Our struggle will end only when this entity, Israel, is obliterated." Let's talk about the armed strength. Hezbollah does not reveal its armed strength. Mustafa Alani, security director at the Dubai-based Gulf Research Center, estimated that Hezbollah's armed wing comprises of 1,000 full-time Hezbollah members, along with a further 6,000 to 10,000 volunteers. According to the Iranian Fars news agency, Hezbollah has up to 65,000 fighters. It is often described as more militarily powerful than the Lebanese army. Israeli commander Guy Zur called Hezbollah by far the greatest guerrilla group of the world. Well, hold on, but check out the Army of God in the United States, people. Look, they have a website. Okay, they have a website. It looks like it was made before the internet. That's how bad this website is. It was made in 1985. Okay, the guy broke into his ColecoVision and reorganized it to create the first computer and then made this website. So what do? They have rotating pictures of dead fetuses on the homepage. But, you know, that's easily comparable to Hezbollah possesses the Katyusha 122 rocket, which has a range of 29 kilometers, 18 miles, and carries a 15-kilogram, 33-pound warhead. Hezbollah also possesses about 100 long-range missiles. They include the Iranian-made Fajar-3 and the Fajar-5, the later with a range of 75 kilometers, enabling it to strike the Israeli port of Haifa. I mean, now perhaps you begin to understand the insanity of these young Turks trying to draw a comparison here.
And every time your mind wanders to a thought, gently return it to the breath or to the sensations of sitting,
Sam,
to the
Hezbollah,
feeling of your back against the chair or the cushion,
it's very comfortable, but you have to
the
understand.
feelings of pressure in your legs.
The Army of God in America has 3 people that run a website that is from 1985. Hezbollah has an army of 75,000 people. I don't care how comfortable this cushion is. It's not going to stop that, Sam. Okay, quickly more. According to various reports, Hezbollah is armed with anti-tank guided missiles, namely the Russian-made AT-3 Sagar, AT-4 Spigot, and the AT-5 Spandrel, AT-13. It goes on and on. And yet, I say that, and yet look at what the Army of God in America have. They have animated GIFs. If you zoom in here, folks, Hezbollah is not the only terrorist group that uses technology to wreak havoc. The Army of God in America have used an animated GIF of a fire to spread the passion and to ignite the flames of violence within the anti-abortion community. In fact, they've gone so much, look at this, it's not even animated.
Like, we have a number of people that have made news, the killer of George Tiller, who were members of that organization.
I love it. I love it. They killed George Tiller. I love how they mention George Tiller by name. The Christian terrorist groups, you can name their victims. Literally, you know the names of their victims. I would pay $1 million for somebody to name me the people that died in Yemen this week.
Killed him in church. Went into a church to kill him in front of other people worshiping Jesus, the Prince of Peace. They went in and killed him because that's what Jesus would want you to do.
Yeah.
That's
well,
how
he's so focused on peace that we need to take care of the killing for him.
Yes.
He'll never get around to doing it.
he's too busy helping people. He
Curing
doesn't have
them.
time to kill any.
Yeah. Who is he going to unmaim if we don't maim people, I suppose?
The guy who wiped out the whole population of the earth with a flood just couldn't handle one doctor in Kansas. He needed...
He needed assistance. He needed a hand like Vader.
And once again, these morons stumble upon an argument that goes against what they're saying. He just said that, oh, like this is what Jesus would want these guys to do. The peaceful Jesus. He's acknowledging that Jesus did preach peace. Turn the other cheek. The guy was a shepherd. He hung around with lambs. The guy was the biggest non-alpha male ever. He was a virgin, died a virgin. So if somebody, like these idiots who go against abortion doctors, do something in the name of their twisted version of Christianity, it spits in the face of the doctrines of Christianity. And this is impossible to say with Islam, which has been mentioned to you only about 1 million times. The example of Muhammad leads directly to this. The literal words of Muhammad, the commandments of him, are to behead and kill the infidel. It is the central message of the Quran. Okay, I need Sam. Where is he?
Now, as you focus on the process of breathing, you will also perceive sounds and bodily sensations and emotions and the full flow of your experience.
Yeah, I'm flowing here, Sam.
Simply observe these phenomena as they appear in consciousness and return to the breath.
I'm mad right now, Sam. I'm upset.
See if you can notice the next
Sam.
breath from the moment it arises
Sam, these men are upsetting me.
for its full duration until the moment it subsides.
Okay. And just for the biblical scholars out there, Jesus didn't wipe out the whole earth with a flood. It's sort of broken down into 2 chapters, you could say, the Old Testament and the New Testament. Might be news to you, considering you both look like self-hating Jews. But yeah, Jesus didn't do that. I mean, look at me. I'm a fucking atheist, and I have to stoop to the intellectual doldrums of having to defend the character, the mythical character of Jesus, and explain to these white horse riding social justice assholes. I have to explain to them the difference between a hippie and a beheader. Are you kidding me? This is why I need to sit on soft cushions and breathe.